stuff.
Welcome back, everybody, to Goodwill Podcasting with Dan and Stone, your movie podcast that today is possibly changing for good. Yes, Wicked for Good is finally out in theaters this past weekend. A lot of people have seen it. It is now, as I just mentioned before we got on the podcast, a 5-hour-long story that has been adapted from a book to the stage and now to the screens. And we are here to talk about the second half of it as it is finally out. A lot of people have seen it, as I previously mentioned, so I want to get right into the discussion. But before we do, it is not just me and Dan. We have a third member on, and no, it's not Connor, as he is away for this recording today. It is a new guest on the podcast for the first time ever, who's not from the United States. And we love having diversity when it comes to our guests, and I'm super excited to have you on. This is Cerys, not a friend of mine, but a friend of Dan's, but hopefully going to be a friend of mine and also a friend of the podcast. Thank you for joining us. And are you feeling pretty good today?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be joining. Yeah.
I say, what is your relationship with Wicked?
I am a theatre kid, first and foremost. So I very much, and even before I was a theatre kid, I very much grew up. The Wizard of Oz was very much the film of the minute in my house. It was always on reruns in the UK on like free view channels in the UK for some reason in like the mid 2000s. So some of my earliest memories are just sitting on the sofa with my mom rewatching The Wizard of Oz. So I remember the first time I realized what Wicked was, I remember being in London and I was like, oh my god, like, is that the Wizard of Oz? Like, I saw the iconic poster and kind of put two and two together. And I just became really infatuated by it as a child. And then when I was 15, I was in Wicked. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Well, I was in, I should say this, I was meant to be in Wicked, but COVID prevented that from happening. So there are videos somewhere of when we did like a video performance of Wicked, like a remote performance, but I was in Wicked.
Wow.
So a very personal relationship to the story.
Yeah, it wasn't anything big. It was like a community theatre Wicked. I was not on Wicked on the West End, but
okay.
Yeah, it's very much, I've always, loved theatre. I've always, loved The Wizard of Oz. So I do have that very personal relationship. And for years, I was waiting for that to be a film adaptation. And then when it finally got announced, I was like, oh my God. And I'm a really big Ariana Grande fan as well. So I obviously knew the connection between Ariana and Wicked. And then hearing that she got it, I was like, okay, this is going to be, great. And I can't wait to talk about it because I do have some thoughts.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on this, a lot of mixed feelings. So I think it's a good one to talk about. Were you a big fan of the first movie? Like, did you feel like the first movie was effective?
I thought it was, yeah. I really, really liked it. There were a few bits and pieces that I don't love, and a lot of my criticism is very much in line with general opinions. But I remember coming out of it and being like, okay, like I was really surprised with how well they did it. And obviously the runtime was my like biggest concern because the first act of Wicked's only 90 minutes. Yeah, 90 minutes. It's only 90 minutes. And like obviously seeing that runtime be 2 hours 45, I was like, oh, like what are they gonna do? But I think they added to it really, really well.
Yeah, I have to ask though before we get too far away from it, what was your role in Wicked?
I was Elphaba. Yeah.
So you can. So you and Cynthia are like neck and neck, like when it comes to vocals. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, don't put it like that. But, yeah, I was somehow, with my lack of musical talent, cast as Elphaba.
Damn COVID.
Don't put yourself down. Don't put yourself down. I'm sure you're a great singer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I sent a video to Dan and the co-host that isn't here this weekend of me singing, and I'm not trash, which is I was singing at a wedding, so hopefully I'm not trash, and they would ask me to sing at a wedding. But let's just say I think Cynthia Erivo would do it just a little bit better, just a little bit possibly, but
definitely some adequate singing from
Yeah, it was
Stone.
fine for a wedding. A wedding in Arizona. It was completely fine. Dan, did you see what the box office was for this before we get into our discussion?
I saw that they were saying they were hoping it would be more than 150 million, but I didn't see what it actually was.
That's exactly what it got.
Really?
150. So it opened higher than the first movie, which was 112. Because it was really funny when the first movie came out last year. Everyone's like, "Oh, it set so many records for musicals," and then this movie just like beat everything that it set last year. So it's going to be a lot of flashy headlines being like, "Oh, it broke so many records." Well, it broke its own records. So
Yeah.
150 million in the United States, and then I believe it is the second
76,
highest.
76 internationally. So
Yeah, so
225.
about 220, and then it's the second highest grossing movie of the year for an opening weekend in the United States. The only thing that has it beat, do you know, Dan?
Minecraft?
Yeah, Dan's number one movie of the year so far.
Yeah. That was an experience.
Yeah, I will say though, Karis, I don't know if you remember this, Dan, because Dan puts out a review for everything. He was a lot higher on the live action Lilo and Stitch, which is third, than everyone else on this entire planet.
I think
I applaud
I
him for
thought it was
that.
okay. I thought it was like I feel like I gave it like 2.5 or 3, but like I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it either. I think that kind of came down to the fact that I love the original. It didn't add anything, like it was so unnecessary, but I had a good time. Like it's
Yeah.
probably one of my more favored Disney live actions.
Yeah, and I think like it's funny because I had a totally different relationship. I had never watched the original Lilo and Stitch. I watched it like I want to say right before I watched the new one, like with my like cousins and stuff. Um, and like I watched the original, I was like, this is good. This is okay. I didn't think the original was incredible. So like, um, yeah, I thought it was fine. But like, I mean, they're all necessary. But like I said, I feel like the one argument I think that you can use to defend it is like there's a whole generation of kids that are now getting to go with their parents and have the experience in the theater. And even though it's not animation, it is the same story. And like, despite some little changes, like it is a good message and a good story that kids should be absorbing, I think. So like, I don't think it's the end of the world. It's definitely greedy, but they're going to keep making them. So if you hate them, don't watch them, and they'll stop making them. But
I
everybody
mean,
watches them.
that's exactly what this is. I mean, Wicked's been out for I think over 25 years now. I think it came out in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. The musical adaptation. So on Broadway. So I mean, this is
I think
for a
it
new
was
generation too.
2003, maybe?
Oh,
Yeah, it was 2003. The book
okay.
was before. Sorry, I feel really bad for cutting in. I feel really rude.
No,
No,
if I'm
feel free
wrong,
to interrupt
please
us.
interject.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
don't
But
be
the
sorry.
same thing
No.
is like this is for an entire new generation. I was listening to a podcast of people talking about it today, and this guy was bringing his 3-4-year-old daughter, and she's like idolizes Elphaba or Glinda now, and it's crazy. Just these stories are just being retold over and over again. And I applaud you, Dan, for not being like the cynics when it comes to like the Moana live action. You're like, you know what? It's people who weren't around 10 years ago. Now they're going to watch Moana in theaters for the first time again. It's just going to look a little bit different. So
I
that's what
will
these
say
stories
I
are.
do think that movie, like I said, like I'm not gonna watch that movie. Like I'm just not gonna watch it. I think um I love like all the history behind that like Moana, like the history there is so interesting and what those people were able to do with nothing like so long ago was incredible. So like I feel like if you're gonna make it live action, shoot it all on location, go out into the ocean and make it this like really amazing movie. But like a lot of it they shot on like a sound screen in Atlanta. And it's like, what do you like? What's the point if it's all going to be CGI and just look ugly? Like, there's no point. You know, I feel like if you're going to do it big. Like, really, tell the story in an epic way. So I'm probably not going to end up watching it, but yeah,
I feel like that's why a lot of people are annoyed when it comes to the Wicked movies because John M. Chu and then the production designer and everyone involved with these movies did so much work to build so many practical sets when it comes to Shiz, when it comes to the Emerald City. And it's just the way, and I know it's beating a dead horse here, the way that they chose to light these films does not showcase the love and the talent that was put into them, which is really disappointing. But I'm gonna give a synopsis of Wicked for Good real quick. I found a short one. My gosh, I read one that was like 3 paragraphs. I'm like, no, I'm good. Now demonized as the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba lives in exile in the Ozian forest, while Glinda resides at the palace in Emerald City, reveling in the perks of fame and popularity. As an angry mob rises against the Wicked Witch, she'll need to reunite with Glinda to transform herself and all of Oz for good. Now, what I want to ask, now that I've heard your backstory, Karis, with The Wizard of Oz and with Wicked, you might be no, definitely more than me. I'm not sure Dan's relationship too much with the Wizard of Oz, but you might be the biggest Wizard of Oz fan that we have here talking right now. And this is the movie. This is the half of Wicked, as we all know, that dives into that a whole lot. And what I've been seeing from a lot of people who are now being introduced to Wicked for the first time, who are fans of the Wizard of Oz, is that they're a little bit frustrated that the Wizard of Oz is getting shoved down their throats, and it's not aligning with what has already been established in the movie way back when. So I've read a lot of comments saying that when it comes to Wicked, which is, and this is what originally was, you kind of have to look at it more as fan fiction than an actual spin-off of the established lore that was in the Wizard of Oz. How do you look at it, and do any of these issues bother you when you watched Wicked for Good?
I do kind of view it as fan fiction. I view a lot of Wizard of Oz fiction because not a lot of it lines up. Like, I could not tell you what is and isn't canon. I'm gonna be so honest. Like, it's so. I think with stuff like Wicked and like even with stuff like Oz the Great and Powerful, what a throwback. Like, I think you have to kind of view it as one entity and not deep it too much because there are so many plot holes that, like, if you view them all as canon as like one big story, it's just not, something's not adding up. Do you know what I mean? And I'm gonna be really honest, I don't think I've watched The Wizard of Oz in about 7 years, so I probably do need to watch it again. It was very much a big thing for me in childhood. Haven't revisited it in a while, but I am still quite a big fan, and I do have that personal connection to the story, so I do need to go back and kind of rewatch that a little bit. But yeah, I just think if you view it all as fan fiction, I think you'll have a good time with it. I think you just kind of need to take it at face value, because if you think about it a bit too much, it'll kind of just fall apart. But I think you can still have fun with it, and I think that's fine. I think that's what they're made for.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really cool place to just tell stories, and I think like not worrying too much about everything connecting and everything making sense um is kind of the way to enjoy it. I think there are critiques about this movie where, and maybe the story itself, I sort of wish Wicked led up to Dorothy arriving. Um because I feel like the way all that stuff gets worked into the second act, like the second act of the musical struggles and it has problems, and it has the same problems that you see in the movie. It has problems with pacing. There's so much happening. Like, not a lot happens, but so much happens. Like, it happens very fast. There's big emotional moments that don't have much room to breathe. Um, and I kind of just wish either there was more focus given to um, Dorothy and the gang, or they just weren't there. And they decided to, in the movie, actually show them on screen, which I don't think you really see them in the musical. Um, and in the end, it's with the shadow work like they did with the film. But anyway, I think it is a lot of fun, and it is a great story to add to overall.
I guess when you were associating with Wicked back in 2020 when COVID hit, and just your love for it over the years, Karis, I think the general consensus when it comes to Wicked is that the second half is weaker. And a lot of people were kind of like just waiting for the newer audience to the story to see what the second half, how it unfolded on the big screen. Do you, as Dan kind of mentioned with the second half, do you also agree that it's just kind of all over the place and not put together really well? I like the idea that you had, Dan, like just showing Dorothy at the very end. Unfortunately, we can't rewind this back 20, 30 years and fix that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would
I
have been
think
ballsy by John M. Chu.
I think it is. There are so many interesting ideas and so many interesting concepts, but that is kind of to the detriment of the story. Like, it feels like it's hitting so many, it has to hit so many narrative beats. It's like, oh, box the Tin Man, but we have to, sorry, wicked spoilers. Am I allowed to spoil it? Okay.
Yeah.
Box the Tin Man, we have to hit that before he meets Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Fiyero has to become the Scarecrow before he meets Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. We have to build up this story for the Cowardly Lion, and it's kind of feels like they're almost taking a yellow brick road and they're like, okay, this has to happen in Wicked, but also this has to happen at the same time. And it's all very detrimental to the story. And it's like there's so much going on. And the second act of the musical is only an hour. Like,
Mhm.
it's not long at all. It's significantly shorter than the first act. And it's
Yeah.
like, I think as well, like, I think it kind of goes back to like splitting it into two parts. I think splitting the films into two parts worked incredibly well for the first half. It was
Yep.
incredibly detrimental to the second because there's
Yeah.
so much going on. It's so rushed, but also it somehow felt longer than the first one. It's just there's a lot of confusing things going on, a lot of interesting concepts, not very well executed. And I just kind of wish that they took those messy narrative beats from the second half of the original musical and really took that extra runtime to try and flesh it out and try and be more concise with that. But instead, it just kind of felt like, okay, this is happening. Okay, we're back to Elphaba and Glinda. And it just kind of continuously felt like that.
I think this movie, like, if you're gonna do this to the story and you want to split it in half, totally fine. But I think this movie should have been pushing 3 hours. Like to tell this story in film, you have to add even more. There has to be more connective tissue in this story to make it work. Like, and I think, like you said, the first movie, there's so much there. It's so beautifully paced, like it flies by. You don't feel that you're watching 2 hours and 45 minutes. Um, the pacing of this is so jarring, and it's one of those movies that just feels like this has to happen now. This has to happen. Like it feels like you're watching like a Rube Goldberg's machine that just is doing these things that it has to do, and then saying, "Okay, let's move on." And like I think the second half of the movie is once it's rolling, I think it's way stronger. But the first hour is is tough to get through, and I think like they should have made this longer, um, or it should have been one 3.5 hour long movie that was really carefully put together. But that obviously wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I know they added so much also to the story. I think one big thing is that, like you were saying, they want to get Elphaba and Glinda together as much as they can because I feel like they think that is what people really want. So I know like a huge change they made was that Elphaba comes. I think the first time they possibly meet up with each other is when the house does fall on Nessa. And one thing they added in this movie is that Elphaba is not there for like the singing of Wonderful. That is between Glinda and the wizard. But Elphaba is like incorporated into that musical number, I believe. Um, so I'm just trying to figure out where the time went. Right? All the songs are here. Okay, I got to get into this. I think in a musical, the biggest and maybe most important thing is the music. The songs are just not as good, which is unfortunate. I think that No Good Deed feels rushed, but it is good. And then also For Good. I do like the what is the song called? As Long as You're Mine between Jonathan Bailey and Cydia Revo. I like having a girl and a guy do harmonies with each other because usually it's Glinda and Elphaba. But I was a little bit distracted by what was going on the screen. Not gonna lie. But the two new songs, first of all, very mediocre. No Place Like Home feels like a Disney Channel original song. Sorry, Steven Schwartz, just speaking my mind here. The Girl in the Bubble is better, but this is my one critique. I watched this movie with like 6 to 8 people who don't care about movies as much as I do, who are just there to see Ariana Grande, which I'm fine with. But they knew I did movie stuff. So like, what is your biggest gripe with the film? And I told him what is the difference between a musical and a movie? It's the fact that a musical is contained to one stage. You can only show so much. But the movie, you should be able to expand on that tremendously. I think a good example of it in the first movie was the song oh, what is it? Lowly, lonely, and
Clothing.
they're doing like loathing. Oh, sorry, they're doing a split screen, right? That's something you can't do on stage or stage. You can't show a split screen, but that was a good decision by John M. Chu. No Place Like Home and The Girl in the Bubble are one singer for both songs, and they are them just walking. The entire musical number is them walking
Or
either on the
flying.
yellow brick road. No, I don't think there's any flying. Dan, that would have been
Is
interesting.
she in her
Is it?
bubble thing?
No, okay. No, she's not in the bubble. I'm thinking about Cynthia Erivo in No Place Like Home. Maybe she flies at the end. The monkeys fly in. No, I don't think she flies. The monkeys fly into No Place Like Home, but Cynthia Erivo, Elphaba, never flies. The only thing that is
I was
shown
thinking about
during
the bubble song.
no, doesn't fly. That would have been cool
Okay.
too. No Place Like Home. All you see that is interesting are more CGI animals. Okay, that's the one creative decision that they make with that musical number. The girl in the bubble, the one creative decision that they make is the camera is doing this thing where it keeps on going into mirrors and coming out of mirrors and like kind of trying to do something visually interesting. But it's just Ariana Grande, Alphaba, Glinda walking around this building, just singing, and she looks at her reflection of her younger self in the bubble, and it ends. Like some that's not interesting to people. It's not like use. It's a movie. You that those two things could be placed in the musical on stage. There's no difference.
How'd you feel about the new songs, Karis?
I feel like, and this is, I feel like they were just kind of put in there to get those Oscar noms.
Which they might not
Like to
get.
give them a little something extra.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, I think,
Best
I
original
mean,
song.
before the film came out, I was like, okay, I think it would be cool to see Cynthia Erivo get an EGOT. I think that would be great. I don't, yeah, and I did think that the songs would have been their best chance because they're incredible vocalists. There are some incredible songs in Wicked. I was like, I would like to see that happen. And then I heard the songs and I was like, oh, oh, I've completely forgotten everything about them. Like they're so mediocre. They're so forgettable. They just kind of happened, and I was like, okay, on to the next thing. Like
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything when I was watching these sequences play out. It just kind of felt like more runtime that could have been used to flesh out this world, to flesh out the story, because obviously we've had a huge time jump as well. Like there was so much context, that needs to be caught up on. Why are we not using this runtime more wisely and more effectively? I don't know. I would have loved to have seen those songs do well, and I would have loved to have seen something interesting. I'd love to have seen something that really added emotional depth to the story. But instead, it just felt really mediocre. It almost felt like Oscar bait in a way. That's how I feel about it.
I think Alphaba's song with the animals, like no place like home, right? I think
Which
it's whatever. I think it's like a kind of a nothing scene. But I think Girl in the Bubble is a good song, and I think it does matter to the story. I think like a lot of what is important in displaying Wicked for Good is like Glinda's self-awareness and her understanding like the system around her and how she's been used and what her existence is. And I think the song like plays off that, and I enjoyed that. I thought that was good. I also, Stone, I've heard a lot of people say kind of what you said, like people don't feel the music in this film is as good as the first. Like I don't necessarily agree with that. Like the first movie has popular, it has Dancing Through Life, it has Defying Gravity on obviously, but like you have For Good in this, you also have No Good Deed, which I think is great. You have As Long as You're Mine. Like I feel like the big stuff matches up pretty well. Um, and I think the music, like I think for both of these movies, the music just like elevates them so much, obviously. Like I think even though this story isn't as good, I think. Like the musical moments for me just make it so enjoyable, and like that's what makes it just an experience that like I feel like people should have in the theater, even though the story itself has problems. I do enjoy the music in this a good bit.
I
And
will
I
say, I think
just one last thing,
you
Stone.
could.
Just the other thing I love with Wicked in general musically is the way it all flows together. Like the music is almost interchangeable and it's all constructed in a way that it can be woven together. And I feel like that's so perfect for the story. And I feel like they use that in For Good really well, especially.
I'll say I think that I mean Ariana Grande is one of the best vocalists
Mhm.
living on the planet right now. Not saying that Cynthia Erivo isn't, but personally, out of those two songs, I really do like what they're doing with her voice and how they utilize her voice in "The Girl in the Bubble." It is the presentation of how those are displayed to us, even if they're important to the story. It's just you're not doing anything. You have the you're making a movie, so use that to your advantage. And John M. Chu is just choosing not to do that when it comes to these two sequences, in my opinion, which is a bummer. And when it comes to, yeah, like I said, there are three. I do like those three songs you mentioned, Dan, are my three favorite songs of this entire thing. I don't know why it was different in the first movie where I was going to Spotify right after and I was playing those songs. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear these versions of these songs. It just didn't happen in this one, which was disappointing for me personally.
Yeah, the other thing is you also have some music being like brought back in. Um, like I'm Not That Girl. Like you have stuff that's popping back up that you got to hear the first time. Um, so yeah, I think that's another aspect of it too. There's some things that just aren't as fresh.
But Karis, I think you're right though with the Oscar thing, and then the disappointing part is too. First of all, something I thought of when you guys interjected about the music is it was funny to me that you said that these musical numbers were forgettable, and then Dan was like, "Doesn't she like fly around in the bubble during that song?" And I'm like, "No, she doesn't."
Does she fly in? Was she on the bubble before the song starts?
I don't believe so. The only thing she does is she eventually ends right next to the bubble, and she sees herself in the
Yeah.
reflection.
Okay.
I
Forget
think
herself.
a big issue that a lot of Wicked fans have had with this, and we kind of had the same issue with the first film, is they've cut a lot of people's singing parts that maybe couldn't sing those roles. There's a high note in The Wicked Witch of the East that was completely cut out, and it's this in the original musical. It's this whole great number. It's Nessa Rose's arc, and it just kind of she doesn't sing it. She sings it quite alto, quite low. And they've cut a lot of Michelle Yeoh's singing. They cut it in The Wizard and I in the first one. I think Michelle Yeoh. I have a lot of thoughts about that casting, but they cut a lot of her singing roles that, she clearly, unfortunately, couldn't sing, and that has kind of again been a quite detrimental to the musical aspect of it, in my opinion.
I'll be so blunt about it. Like Michelle Yeoh seemed like she didn't want to be there. Like Michelle
It's
Yeoh is
bad.
phoning it to fucking like I don't know why that is, but in a cast that is so like even Jeff Goldblum, I thought people rightfully criticized some of his singing in the first movie. I think he did better. Like I think maybe he worked like or he they shot these back to back obviously, but like he seems more engaged with the story. He seems like he's acting harder. He sings a little better. Like there just seems like there's more effort than he gave in the first movie. Michelle Yeoh, I don't know what she's doing in these movies. Like she doesn't seem like she wants to be there, and I feel like that's my takeaway, honestly.
Do you know how she was cast?
No.
What I've heard is
So
that Ariana and Cynthia wanted her to be in the movie, and they asked like John M. Chu to get her in the movie. And I know that she was in Crazy Rich Asians, so her and John M. Chu already had a relationship together. They're like, "Michelle, you'd be perfect for this," and I think she was just like, "All right." If
yeah,
I'm
Is that
essentially.
basically,
Yeah. So it
it's terrible.
wasn't it was kind of like I like to call this like nepotism casting. It was kind of like felt like a favor for a friend kind of thing. And
yeah.
that's, it did again become very detrimental to the music, not just the musical aspects, but, and I'm saying this, I loved her performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think she was amazing. I thought she was great in Crazy Rich Asians as well. Like John M. Chu has directed her before and he's directed her well, but I have no idea what happened here. Like she doesn't feel intimidating. She doesn't,
I
everything feels very flat.
I think another aspect of it could be a psychological thing where maybe there was some anxiety for her because maybe she knows that she's not able to vocally do her job. So maybe that stress or that feeling is like carrying over into her performance and like affecting it, which I would at least make sense. Because yeah, it's tough. Especially when everyone else is doing such a good job. Like it makes it stand out more.
I mean, seeing Ethan Slater in this, and I think
It's
that one of the
really good.
highlights. I think one of the highlights of this movie is Ethan Slater. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, a lot of people are just referring to him as, which is terrible, but SpongeBob because that's what people know him from. He like was SpongeBob in a musical. So just seeing an underappreciated theater actor have this chance like this, it just makes me wish that Michelle Yeoh's role, Madame Orville, also went to somebody like that rather than already an established actor. And I do agree with you, Dan. I think Jeff Goldblum is better in this second half. I think it's just because we get more of the wizard. And I think he does a fine job at it, even though he's not necessarily the best singer in the world. I saw somebody say, "What if Hugh Jackman got this part?" And I'm like, "Would have been fun," but
That would have been great. Probably would have cost more money,
yeah,
but
that's true.
yeah, it would have been great.
I
I
like
will say,
CGI
just
Jeff Goldblum too was good.
horrifying. Just really quick, like Karis, you were saying, you felt like maybe those songs were at like they didn't need those. Like both of them are 1,000% getting Oscar nominations, regardless. Like they didn't need those songs. So I don't. So when you're making a face, I'll bet you money on the podcast right now they're both getting nominations.
I
All
think they're
right,
definitely getting nominated. I
Yeah.
don't think they're winning. I think
No.
Jessie
No.
Buckley in Hamnet is. I think Ariana Grande should have won
She's
last
the one that
year.
has a chance. Yes. To
I'm
win.
trying. I can't think off the top of my head who else is going to be in the supporting
Elle
role.
Fanning.
Oh, absolutely.
And it
Yes.
could be. It could be.
Tiana
It could
Taylor for
be.
one battle after
It'll
another.
be. It'll be
Yeah.
Tiana Taylor and Regina Hall most likely, and it could be Haley Steinfeld. I think
I
there's a
think
chance she gets a nomination.
I'd be so if Tiana Taylor didn't win that, I'd be so upset. But
Sorry,
anyway, that's a
Dan.
conversation
I
for
thought
another
you were
day.
talking. I thought you were talking about the original music category. Like they're for sure getting nominated.
Oh no, 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 no! I meant
My
the
bad. My bad.
just to the. I thought you guys were talking about it like padding their
No,
performance. Gotcha.
as
Okay.
in, well, I guess maybe Karis was talking about that. My mind automatically went to they made original songs for the musical to be up for the original song nomination because they can't do that with the other songs.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, and then I think
But
because I think they kind of want to give them a higher chance of winning. I don't
Mhm.
think they're. I think they are getting nominated. That is, I would put money on that. But I think where
the
they would have a
songs,
higher chance of winning would be the songs because they're such talented musicians. And the first, in the musical as a whole has some great songs. So I think we were all kind of expecting a little bit more. And if they were great songs, then why not give them the win? But I'd be quite upset to see those songs win against some
Yeah,
songs like I'd
and
Lie to You
and
from
right
Cerys.
now I don't think either song is projected to be there. It's right now it's projected as the Miley Cyrus song from Avatar: Fire and Ash, which is terrible. Um, the Diane Warren song from her Relentless thing, and then Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters, I Lied to You from Sinners, and Clothed by the Sun from the fucking Testament of Anne Lee, which don't get me started on that movie. But
did you watch it?
yes, we're not going to
Oh,
talk about it right now, but I get too heated. But so neither of those songs are supposed to
yeah.
even be
That's why I had
nominated
the
right now.
face. That's why I had the face because Karis, you might not know this, but I'm a big K-pop demon fans lover. So that's why I had my face is because I knew it's between Sinners and K-pop Demon Hunters in my opinion. I'm depressed that it's the song. Not depressed, but I'm disappointed it's the song "I Lied to You" because there's another song from Sinners that I mean that song's good too, but it's actually that should be nominated. But there's the song that plays during the end credits. I can't think of
Last
what the name of it is.
time I've seen the
See the
sun.
sun. And
Yeah.
I've listened to that song 59 times. Like it's beautiful. It's an extraordinary song. But
Yeah,
anyways,
Yeah.
I think Sinners could or should have two noms. Like we don't need like a Miley Cyrus song. Like but I think they
kick
try to
Diane Warren
like
out of there.
where I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who Diane Warren is.
Oh, Dan, you
She's
should do
been
some fun
nominated.
research.
She's been nominated, I think, 14 times,
Yep.
has never won, and they just keep
Yep.
nominating her and never let. I think she was nominated for like the Flaming Hot Cheetos movie or something.
Last
And
year,
they've
yeah.
never given it to her. And every year they nominate her and they just don't give it to her.
It's like a funny inside joke that the Academy has, and I kind of like it. I mean, other songs should be nominated probably, but just keep it going. It's embarrassing for her, unfortunately.
What is your guys' favorite song from For Good?
For good, probably.
Basic.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It's the best song. That's why. Why is Defying Gravity at the very end of the first half? It's because it's the best song of the first half. So
I think For Good is the best song. I think As Long As You're Mine and No Good Deed, I have the most basic answers ever. I'm so sorry. I think they might be the ones that are popping up on my Spotify the most.
I have to say, I think like I complain so much about like romance in it like romance the genre is so fucked right now. There's so many bad romance movies. People don't know how to write compelling dynamics, I think, like between human beings, regardless of anything, and like it's getting really hard to watch, for at least in my opinion. Like the chemistry that Cynthia Erivo and Jonathan Bailey have here is crazy. Like I feel like that dynamic is so good, and I feel like it makes this movie like it really helps this movie when it needed the help, I think. Um I was really blown away by that, and I feel like they had to sell that to make this entire story work. Like it's the backbone of like outside of Glinda and Elphaba, like that is the backbone of this story. It's driving so much of what happens, and I thought they really crushed it. Bailey doesn't have a ton to do, but I thought he was really, really good.
yeah, that scene was fun. I went to the Amazon Prime. I got to see it like 3 or 4 or 5 days ahead of when it actually released, and that's like when the super fans were there. And that Jonathan Bailey, Cynthia Erivo, Elphaba, and Fierro sequence had a lot of hooting and hollering going on in my theater.
I heard
And
the same thing about the premiere. Like apparently
yes,
when like he kind of takes his shirt off at the UK premiere, I had a few friends who were there and they just said everybody cheered. Like,
I'm saying a lot of men got lucky that he is in fact gay, because I feel like every woman on earth would be with him right now. Luckily for myself, I'm happily married and Dan's engaged. But if Jonathan Bailey was not gay, that might not be the case. So appreciate you, Jonathan. For real, dude is sexy as hell. I'm sorry.
He's a good look.
For
I
me
think
though, it
he
wasn't
just
the
won. He
straps.
just won Sexiest Man of the Year, right?
First openly gay guy. Gay man.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow, nice.
It's totally earned. Throw the
Yeah.
flowers. But for me, it wasn't when he took off the straps. I thought, look at some great criticism, or like Philip talk here. When Elphaba lifts him up, I was like, oh shit. Like a woman lifting up a man, I was like, dang, that would
Cynthia Erivo's strong as hell. That guy that ran at Ariana Grande found out.
she was actually
yeah.
flying.
Have you seen the photo? I did not realize how toned her arms were. Like there
She
was a
did
photo.
jacked, yeah.
Yeah, I was like sitting there. I was like, oh my god. Like
If I'm not mistaken, that is why she has the cardigan on, and that's why her arms are always covered in the movie, is because they didn't want Elphaba to have that look. I'm almost 100% sure on that. That's why she's purposely has like that $10, $15 cardigan from Target on. Like it automatically just pops on after she gets to her little tree house or whatever.
I think
Which, like,
as
I don't really
well,
know why they care, but
I
sorry,
think
I don't
Ferris,
know.
go ahead.
sorry. I kind of
No.
wanted to bring up as well, like obviously the second half is darker. I wish, and one thing I'm really interested in, this is kind of what my like thesis is about at university, is I wish they upped the age rating for this one. I wish they leaned into it. I wish they made it a lot darker. And I even if I wish they just went PG-13, 12. Like in the UK, it's a PG, and it's like
Yeah, same.
just felt like it was kind of holding back a little bit. I get it is kind of for kids, but Barbie was a 12 over here, and kids still went to that. But I kind of wish they really leaned into that darkness, because there are some really, really dark things going on here, and I just wish they really went for it.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, I kind of I made a video about the ending. Like they took the teeth out of the story very much so. Um, and I think the ending is mangled. Like I think the ending is literally mangled to the point that it doesn't say what the musical says. And I got some pushback for saying that, but like I'll stand on that. And I think like it's far too cheery. Like having the animals get their voices back and they're all back at their jobs. Like what are we doing? Like she sat there and watched all this shit happen for years. For 6 years. Like she did absolutely nothing. She lived her comfortable life. She hung her friend out to dry over and over and over again. And then at the end, we're supposed to believe she cares about this stuff and she's like a good, strong leader. Like it's so bad. And like the ending of the musical is it's not supposed to be happy, it's supposed to be it's a tragedy. Like it's a hollow ending. That's the entire point. And I was really irked by that. I don't know your guys' take on it.
At the end of the musical, her Elphaba and Fiero don't go to Tatooine, right? They're still in Oz.
I
They're just
believe they just kind
Th-
of like live in the
in
forest.
hiding.
Yeah,
they're in
they're in
hiding.
hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I fundamentally have an issue with the song "No Place Like Home," because they're like, Elphaba, why don't you come with us to Tatooine? And it's like, no, this is Oz. This is where I'm meant to be. These are my people. And then that means nothing at the very end, and she leaves anyways. So I'm like, are those beliefs gone now? Like the conflict or what happened at the end of the story outweighs what you actually want. I mean, obviously she doesn't want to go into exile, but you told me you love this place, but now you love Fiero
It seems to
more.
be framed as like her getting romantic attention or like romantic fulfillment is somehow like invalidates everything that she has stood for and so like firmly she's literally like she's basically a domestic terrorist in this, like truly she's like a revolutionary, like that's what she is. I'm not even joking, like she is actively fighting against the government, like she's attacking the building of the brick road which they added in like by the like that's what she's doing, and then she's like, oh here, well, this guy is with me now, so I guess I forget all that. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Karis?
I completely agree. I thought the video that you made about complicit being complicit and
Yeah,
comparing that to, think people like Taylor Swift, I thought that was incredibly interesting. And there was a line that really stuck out to me, and it was when she's doing the kind of like a press run, like speech with Fiero, and they go behind, and she essentially says like, "Oh, well, like I really hate what they're saying about her, but like I just, can't resist being this beloved figure." And it just kind of feels like she's very spineless, like insanely spineless, and I don't think they explored the nature of that tragedy very well. They were just like, oh, she's spineless, but she gets everything she wants in the end. And they do indicate, and this does not happen in the musical. Like they indicate that the Grimoire opens for her, and she, you know, actually gains these powers. And it's like, is that what reward you get for being that
a coward. Yeah,
spineless? Like, oh, like that's a terrible message to send. Like, and Elphaba and Glinda have that conversation of like, no, it's okay that I'm evil because then you get to be good. Like, Elphaba is incredibly selfless, but I felt like there was no clear issue taken with Glinda's complicit. Sorry, I can't say that word.
complicity.
Complicit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like there was no clear indications to why that was so wrong. It's just kind of, oh, like they both get what they wanted, and she's it just really takes away from that darkness that the original musical has. And I don't think it's a good message to leave it on at
No.
all.
Dan, I know you were like at battle in your comments saying that John M. Chu purposely left it open ended because
He
people,
straight up said that. Yeah,
yeah, people are having the same reaction that Karis is having, but then also there's two looks on why the groomery open, right? It's one is that Elphaba is showing Glinda that she's still alive, or two, Glinda has powers now. But for me, even though it's either one of those, it's open ended. Right before that groomery opens, Elphaba is, I believe, Elphaba is doing a voiceover saying that she has to make sure, or it's purposeful why Glinda cannot know that she's alive. So I think it completely defeats the opening of the groomery and Elphaba showing her that she is alive when she just said she shouldn't do that.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
the end
That's what I'm
conclusion
saying.
is the fact that Glinda does have powers and abilities, even though she is such a terrible person. But we get her sweet little backstory about how she was very privileged and she wanted to be a wizard, and she can't be one. And she was even lying back then to all of her friends. I'm sorry. I do the darkness of this story. It's so I'm so frustrated with it because it's 100% darker. But you know what was such a shining light, such a shining moment in this movie for me? But the more I thought about it, the more I hated it. Is there is that battle sequence between Elphaba and Glinda where they're like fighting, and I thought that was really fun and really playful, and it reminded me of the first movie. That's like the one I was like, oh, Glinda's acting like Glinda from the first movie, and Elphaba's making jokes and all of this stuff. Nessa's dead right there. And I know that happens in the musical. I've seen videos of this. I know it happens in the musical.
So bad.
But you cannot make me emotionally feel like Elphaba is justified in her feelings towards Glinda, being mad at Glinda, when Elphaba is not taking it seriously herself. Because we get, oh, I'm very upset. And now we're just having this playful little fun little battle where I'm flying in the sky and I'm laughing. And then right after the guards come, she gets mad again. I'm like, I realize it was in the musical. Maybe make that sequence a little bit darker. Maybe this entire movie should not even hint at, like, the first one's so playful, so fun. Just make this entire thing dark. Even though I really love that sequence because it reminded me of the Glinda from the first movie. I'm just like, not the proper place and time. Like I said, I know that happens in the musical. I know, but
I think it also shows like that scene shows like first of all, I think they're arguing about Fiero. No, like that's what Glinda's upset about.
she
Like
has like a
she's
comeback where she's
angry.
like, well, we shouldn't take things from us, should we? And everyone's like, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're a sociopath. Like this woman's sister was crushed by a fucking house, and you're making comments about you're thinking about fear. Like you're crazy. And I just don't like there's no heaviness to that moment like at all. And again, like you said, it's part of the musical, but like it's I think it's the most mismanaged scene in the entire musical. 'Cause I think it doesn't feel like it should feel, and it doesn't make sense for either character in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not trying to
What do
be
you think,
cinema sins
Karis?
here. I saw a lot of people say that the monkeys could have just carried Fiero away, but let's not think about that.
It was yeah. I mean,
They could have saved him.
Yeah, I think it just kind of goes to show like my issue with the whole thing is it's so tonally mismanaged.
yeah.
Like it's yeah, I don't think that the film, and I know films don't have to do this, films don't have to be, put in like big bold text of like this is right, this is wrong, like this is, how you should feel. It's just kind of like it's like you said, like a house is just, she's essentially set it up so that this house falls on her. Like she's put the idea in their heads being like, oh, we need to bring her back. We need to think that something's wrong with Nessa Rose. And then, she dies, a house falls on her head, and she's like, well, you took my man who clearly didn't want me in the first place. It's so like, it's this is what I like. This kind of goes back to how I feel like if you're watching these films, if you think, wait, like not even too much about it, if you think about it for more than 2 minutes, I will get irrationally angry. Like I
Yeah.
will, like I came up, I genuinely, I rewatched the first one. I did the IMAX double bill. I had been sat there for about 4.5 hours at this point. I was like, it was 11 o'clock at night. I was up at 9 a.m. the next day. I was like, I can't do this. So I want to, like, let's, I just think it's really disappointing how terribly they managed the tone of it. And I think a lot of that could have been fixed if they were just confident enough to make it darker, to take a little bit more time to make it darker, to make it, to really go in on these really complex themes. And, obviously this is for general audiences. How do we make that more accessible? How do we, you know, like how do we, send a good message to audiences instead of this tonally mismatched, like very not confusing, but very like, well, yeah, confusing, very confusing messages because, people, and it's one of those things, it's like I feel like you can't talk about Wicked without the Ariana Grande fans coming at you. Like, I'm nervous right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's
It's a big problem, and, like, I mean, I talk about this shit literally all the time, but, like, the stands of anything and, and I just saw a video about this, someone talking about how, you can't criticize anything without people, like, literally having mental breakdowns in your comments and, like, attacking you, and it's like, this is true about so many things, but people have this attachment to stuff where they feel like it's like a reflection on them personally if you say something, and, like, I don't understand it, but it's not just, it's everything. It's tough right now.
I've seen a lot of Wicked fans come to a defense of this movie, being like, "Well, the first movie was made for everyone, but this one was really made for the fans." I'm like, okay. I've seen people comment that, like, yeah, it has issues, but the fans really liked it still because it's
I
still it has the same issues that the musical had. So
I don't even think Wicked fans really like the second half of the musical that much.
mm,
I think we're
Yeah.
just like, it wraps up the story. The purpose of a musical, especially, on Broadway on the West End, is the first half is the really, really memorable half. The second half is you've had a few drinks. Let's wrap it up. Like, that is kind of unfortunately the purpose of quite a lot of musicals.
I didn't know that. Maybe I should drink more at musicals. I just went and saw the Book of
Yeah.
Mormon. Maybe the second half would be a lot better if I drank more the first half, or both of them would be better. Huh. I will
That's why the
say
second half's shorter.
the drink was like $27. I was like, holy shit.
I paid £4. Sorry, I paid £4 for canned water the other day.
Yeah.
It's at the Hunger Games live on stage. Was not having it.
That's ironic,
Oh,
huh?
how was that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take tap water. Why are you charging me £4?
Yeah.
Like,
The Capitol, Governor Snow. Is that you? Is that what
Yeah,
he's doing?
it's bad. And at the movies right now, like, a bottle of water is like $7. Like, it's ridiculous. But, just
Dan, I
another thing I
still
wanna
pay $6 for a white monster though. I don't care if they got him there. I'm gonna pound
Yeah.
one of those suckers.
No, I can't blame you. I also just wanted to say, like, I think it's really there's a lot of Wicked fans that get really upset when you criticize, like, Glinda, and I think that's so concerning. Like, if you can't understand what Wicked says about Glinda, like, there's a problem there. Like, there's a genuine problem there, and I think, like, that's concerning to me.
she's not a good person. Like, if you
No.
really think about it, no one mourns the wicked. She's singing about herself. I saw this earlier today. Somebody was like, yeah, she's singing about herself. Because she's left alone. Like, and essentially, I think she
Ooh.
recognizes that she's a bad person. She's been changed for good. Like, she recognizes she needs to change her
Self-awareness.
ways.
Yeah.
Like, she is, she has been complicit and she does, as well executed or whatever, that's a separate argument as this was. She does try and rectify those things. And, you can look at it as No One Mourns the Wicked as like she sings goodness knows the wicked's lives are lonely, like goodness knows, like the wicked die alone. And like at the end of the musical, she's the one who's left alone.
Yeah.
Like, as far as she's aware, all of her friends are dead. She doesn't know Fiera's life. She doesn't, you know, Nessa's dead. She thinks Elphaba's dead. Like,
I've never looked at it that way. But
I
that's very true. But then in the
yeah.
movie where she's like, "Come on out, animals," everyone was like, "Woo, Glinda's so great." I'm like, not really.
I was so pissed. Like, and I think, one thing, just to switch gears a tiny bit, I really, really I love the look of the Tin Man. I think he looked amazing. And I think his whole performance start to finish is so good. I think it feels, and again, this is the story itself, it feels a little odd that you spend so much time getting to know them and you get these transformations. Like, you don't hear you don't see Fiero once he's the Scarecrow. They just don't show him. And, like, to me, first of all, I think he looked terrible. Like, I think the Scarecrow itself looked terrible.
Ryan
Um,
Reynolds. That's what a lot
yeah,
of
I
people are
don't
saying.
like the look. While I really like the look of the Tin Man, and I don't know if they knew that, so they were like, we're just not going to show him. But having these transformations and then you barely see the lion, like, the lion is an afterthought. Bach is he gets the scene of the March of the Witch Hunters, whatever it is, like he gets that. But you put all that time in, then you don't really spend any time with the Scarecrow or Tin Man. You don't. I don't know. It felt a little odd to me.
All three of those are handled poorly. The line is wild. The fact that she rescued him, and it's like, no, he should have been there in the cage and faced his fears, and now he is a cowardly lion. I'm like, okay. I want to say this. People have said this, and it's absolutely true. And I'm 100% sure that this is a line in the musical. The "You're beautiful, you're lying to me." It's not lying. It's looking at things a different way.
It's an
Is
insult.
a terrible thing to say to someone. What are we doing? Like, just say no. I, in my heart, believe you are absolutely stunning because I'm in love with you. It's that simple.
I'd be pissed. The thing
It's a
is,
bad line.
both
Yeah.
of the characters in this movie need to stand up. Get off the floor. Stand up. There's my rant of the day. Like, please have some self-respect, guys.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Also, I hate Nessa. So when the house falls on her, I wish the whole second half was more comical because I would have been like, cool. She is so evil. She's the Wicked Witch. She's so evil to Elphaba and mean to Elphaba for absolutely no reason. She's literally going to kill Bach, and Elphaba saves his life by turning him into a Tin Man. But then she's still pissed at her, and she's. You think Glinda's delusional? Nessa is insane. She is out of her mind. The whole banning the Munchkins, like they can't leave, so she can keep Bach there. Which, don't get me started on like the cinema sins of this movie, like you were talking about, Karis, how a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense. I love how Bach is still outlawed from going anywhere, but he's like, no, I'm gonna go see Glinda because she's getting married and I'm gonna stop her. Bach, you still can't go anywhere, buddy. I love that you love her, but you're still stuck. But Nessa, after she gets mad at Elphaba, after she literally almost kills Bach, and Elphaba like saves his life and's like, "Peace out, I'm gonna go see the wedding." She turns around in her wheelchair and she goes, "Yes, my love, Bach, come on out." I'm like, "What is wrong with you?"
Yeah, like they make her more evil in the movie. Like because they in the show, there's no thing where she says Munchkins can't like emigrate anywhere. Like the controlling of their like that's truly evil shit. Like literally
I like
based
that.
on
I like that
genetics.
addition.
Like it's um yeah, I like it, but it really makes her pretty detestable. And it's the same kind of thing where it's so obvious that Bach has absolutely no interest in her. Just like you said, Karis, it's so obvious that Piero has absolutely no interest in Glinda. Like he makes that abundantly clear to her. So that makes her feelings towards Elphaba and her anger after the death of Elphaba's sister even worse. Because it's like this dude it's not like he was leading her on. He was clearly just like disinterested. So it's a tough look, I think, for her, both of them, really.
It's it's just baffling. When she's like, "Oh, me and the wizard didn't tell you that we're engaged," I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. Ew.
There's a bad looks, man, all around. I love the addition of the Munchkins not being able to leave Dan because it reminds me more of like our own world, right? Like if you allow something as small as in quotes, as like the outlawing of animals being able to speak, or being hateful to these people that are lower than you, right? That's like that is a slippery slope because then now it's the Munchkins. Who is the next person that we want to have dominion over or that we want to take the rights away from? And I was like, okay, that's like I really like that. And then the animal stuff and the Munchkins is just never elaborated on later in the movie, like the politics of Oz and what they're doing to these people. It's just like Glinda's going to save everybody because we're in Munchkin land and the animals are here now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it definitely added something, but like everything with that and the animals, it does feel like fairly half baked. Like they wanted to touch on it, but not really like really look at it.
It almost felt like they were trying to be as palatable as possible to general audiences,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
especially with the animal politics of it all and with Glinda. It just kind of felt like again, it goes back to your video on Taylor Swift, which I found very interesting. I really, really loved it.
Thank you.
It just kind of goes on to like, I don't know, it's just like it's trying to be so inoffensive that it almost feels like a slap in the face at times. It feels like it's too scared to say what it wants to say out of fear of like almost like I don't want to say losing money, but like
Which
losing
is so
engagement.
ironic, right? Like, isn't that the most ironic fucking thing you could possibly think of? That
Yeah.
this story gets like treated that way. Um,
Well, if Glinda is obviously the villain, then you won't sell as many Glinda dolls. So you got to make sure that she's got magical powers too.
but that's the thing I keep trying to say. It's like she doesn't even have to be. People keep being like, how could like? It's not about Glinda being like evil or wicked or the bad guy. It's just that people sit around and do nothing and they don't say shit and they bury their head in the sand. And like, you're not, you know, to use a historical example, like every person in Nazi Germany wasn't Hitler, right? But the people that were just like, oh, that's terrible. Like, oh, I heard they're doing this. I heard like, and you just don't do shit or don't say shit. You're part of the problem. It doesn't mean you're the villain. Like it's just I don't think people I don't understand why people like get so hurt like talking about the character in that way. Like I don't know.
It's a good example because it's the same thing. You can look at the differences between that and what Japan says about World War II and the atrocities that they did. Right? It's the
They don't
fact
say
of
shit.
realize exactly that is Glinda.
Never
Japan. This is
happened.
crazy. This is crazy to use this analogy for this movie. That is Glinda in this story where she should have been Germany. It is the song "For Better" or "For Good" is not saying that Glinda is now a good person. It is that she has now realized and takes responsibility for the atrocities and the circumstances that she has allowed to happen. And she
Yeah.
does now realize that what is about to happen is that her best friend, this person that she loves, because of what she has done, because of the society, it has to go into exile. It has to die. She doesn't know that she's going into exile. But there's no you feel like Linda at the end of this movie is kind of the same character that she was at the beginning. In my opinion, there's not enough change. So that's a
Yeah, she
bummer.
just kind of believes her own hype to a further extent. Like I don't I don't know.
I think
Um,
again,
It's a
like
yeah.
tough story.
yeah, I think it really again like takes away from that tragic element. Like it is kind of, I think they were more explicit in the first one about their politics because like even if you look at the lyrics of Defying Gravity, like they're saying to each other, I don't understand how you could feel this way. Like Glinda has no idea why Elphaba wouldn't want anything to do with this regime, but Elphaba's still like, okay, I hope you're happy, although I can't understand why. Like, I hope you're happy. And I think I think just to kind of be like, well, she has magic powers now. It just kind of is like, well,
Oh.
I've just spent 5.5 hours in an IMAX seat and now I have to go home being like, okay, well, this is a really tragic story and we're just gonna give her magical powers. Like, no, like let's like where are the consequences? Where is the tragedy? Do you know what I mean?
And I think the other thing is like in the story, I feel like the magic of Elphaba, like I think it's very much painted in Oz as magic coming from a place of like marginalization and pain and trauma, and like that's like the other side of that is you have access to this ability, like and Glinda's just kind of handed it. But the other irony is the entire point of the fucking Wizard of Oz. It's about a guy who isn't magical, who pretends he is, who doesn't deserve it. And then at the end, you take the character who doesn't deserve magic, who was supporting that guy the whole time, and then you say she's actually magic. Like it's so bizarre. Um, I also just feel like, and this is a general thought. Like the wizard gets off way too easy. Like that guy should be beheaded. Like there should be it should be a public guillotine. Truly, he just gets to fly away. Like what are we? I don't know, but
I don't know if I'm thinking about this too much, and I don't know if this is what you were kind of hinting on a little bit, Dan. But the beautifully ironic thing about the whole Wizard of Oz, and more so Wicked, is the fact that the Wizard of Oz doesn't in this movie doesn't like the animals, right? The animals are different from everyone else, so we're going to put them down. Well, what's ironic is that the wizard is actually human and he's not from Oz.
He's from Kansas.
So, yeah. And what I think is beautiful, though, what should be a beautiful message about this movie is the joining. The reason why Elphaba has powers is because it is somebody from Oz, but somebody not from Oz coming together and showing that something beautiful and something magical can come out of accepting people from different areas of life. Now, I think that that's a message that this movie doesn't care about or doesn't want to like not promote, but that would have been cool if that was the message of this movie, but I think it's just like swept under the rug with so many other things going on.
Yeah. And I like what you said about the Wizard Stone because like isn't that the world? Like this guy from Kansas preaching about these people are from outsiders are trying to destroy our way of life. Like, I made a video talking about like Trump's great grandfather illegally
Yep,
emigrating to the
that's
United
exactly what I was
States.
thinking about
Like,
right now. Yeah,
and it's like, how the fuck did you get here?
yeah,
Um, and it's this guy who was shaped by a gay man who persecuted other gay men, Roy Cohn, and then he makes policies now that attack gay people and trans people in the United States. Like it's just every time you see the hypocrisy behind these people is always the same throughout history. And I feel like that's exactly the same with the wizard.
and I think this is the number one critique of these movies, and I need to talk about it again before maybe we wrap up what we're talking about. It is unforgivable, and it's more obvious in the second movie because not only Karis is it like tonally darker, it's visually darker, especially in that castle.
Yeah.
It looks bad, and the thing is,
My
Elphaba is like darker skin tone. Like the green is darker, and John M. Chu's like, I want this realistic look of these movies. So you're putting a darker skinned individual in a dark room with no lighting whatsoever. You can't see really the emotion on their face that well, and it's unfortunate because Cynthia Erivo is such a good actor, and even Ariana Grande. It doesn't matter in some instances what the color of your skin is because there's no light. There's no light in a dark castle.
I will just say the first time I saw the first Wicked was in a standard cinema. Like it was standard 2D, and I really, really noticed the lighting issues. When I watched it in IMAX, it was a lot less noticeable. I don't know if they've just reissued it or because I don't think it was shot for IMAX, so they've reissued it for IMAX. The IMAX reissue is a lot more vibrant. So I will say that. But I have not seen Wicked for Good in 2D standard, so I can't really comment on the lighting too much. There was definitely lighting issues, but from what I remember, the IMAX version is much more vibrant.
It's really the scene. I think I agree with you everything you're saying, Karis. I think it's the scene that's really tough to see is the scene when she goes down and discovers the animals underneath the castle after
Mm,
she's kind of bought back into what they're selling, which again is such like it's such a crucial moment, right? Like you need to understand the emotion that's coming from her and her rage and like how she's feeling. Like that's a moment that's going to drive the story forward. Just like we talked about the house being dropped. That's a moment that's emotionally supposed to drive the story forward. The emotion there is undercut for a different reason, but here it really is hard to see what's happening, how she's feeling, and like it's such a key moment, and that was
frustrating.
frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys a general Wizard of Oz / Wicked question that I was trying to. So I watched this movie twice. I got to see it on Monday or a week ago, and then I also got to see it on Friday. And I was trying to pay attention to this in the on my second viewing to see how this rumor came about. Why does everyone think that water will melt her? Like I heard there's a line in a song where it's like she is so wicked that the purest of water
It's propaganda.
burns her. Why?
That's it.
Well, what?
Yeah.
Right. It's propaganda. Why does Glinda believe it? She's also just stupid like the rest of
Glinda's a
like Oz.
moron.
So
What do you
Glinda,
mean?
like, but here's the thing. She has a personal relationship with Elphaba, her like for years and years and years before the propaganda comes in. I don't know if it's that many years, but for a long time. So you would think that in that time where Elphaba and Glinda have been talking together, I know it's cinema sins. Has she had a glass of water? Like, why is she automatically like, oh yeah, I do think she just died because Dorothy dumped water on her, and I was like, you know that that's not true.
I think, and to be clear, I don't know, like, I don't know the answer to this, like from in terms of the musical itself. Um, it wouldn't really make sense. Um, but like
People,
if she doesn't believe that, then why would she ever believe that Elphaba was actually dead? Which doesn't the ending of the doesn't
that's
it
what I'm saying.
rely on that?
She has to believe that it is true, even though she shouldn't believe it's true because she thinks that Elphaba is dead. So Glinda thinks that water kills Elphaba, which I don't think should be the case because they've known each other for so long. And people have also pointed out the fact that Elphaba cries in many sequences, so they're like, "You should be burning right now." But that's stupid.
I think you can say to the crying, maybe like because obviously tears are kind of, I guess they've got more salt in them. I don't know. I think it is just plot holes and propaganda. I think it
It's
is
just
just
so
one of those things like, yeah.
it's just so frustrating because I just don't think Glinda. It just makes the person that we're supposed to connect with at the end of the movie, which unfortunately is not solely Elphaba, it's also Glinda. Like, why are you so stupid? Do you think the water killed her? Like, okay, she just believes into the
It might be
propaganda.
kind of a logical hole because it doesn't really make much sense from any
Here's
direction.
the thing. It is a logical hole because you can say that Glinda believes into the propaganda. Glinda doesn't believe any of the propaganda. That's the problem. She knows who Elphaba is at her core. She knows that Elphaba is a good person and the Oz and the wizard is the evil one. She just likes the attention and she likes that the wizard is giving it to her. So she's trying to convince Elphaba that possibly they can work her in somehow. That's what the whole song Wonderful's about. Like, look how cool the wizard is, man. Maybe he can kind of help you out. So, in my opinion, Glinda is not believing any of this propaganda. She's just using it to her advantage. So, she should not believe that water will burn Elphaba to death.
I think as well, because in the original Wizard of Oz, obviously everybody thinks, you can't, because it's so intertwined with Wicked for Good and Wicked Act Two. It's one of those things you can't. I guess they could have. I mean, I guess if they changed it, then it's like Glinda would have to know that Alpha was alive, and then we wouldn't have that ending. So I think it kind of goes back to there's so many story beats they have to hit in the Wizard of Oz. You're gonna have to keep it like that for Wicked for it to
Completely
make
agree.
some kind of sense.
And there's all these sequences where Fiero's like, "Go get some water." Like, it's an established thing that everyone's like, "We're about to murder this girl with some buckets of water." So
Yeah.
everyone believes it very fast. And they have guns. Just like use that. I mean, I'm not trying to be violent. Just try that. Try that out. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah.
Those guns
I
are pretty
also
gnarly, though.
I do think the scene, and I know it's just story, but the scene where like one of my biggest pet peeves in any story is ridiculous character sacrifices, and Fiero just allowing himself to be captured when he could just fucking fly away is just so like those scenes cause me pain to watch. Um, it's like I talked about in Stranger Things with Eddie or whatever. Like it's just the most you're simply dying for the sake of dying. Like there's no reason other than the narrative says we don't have anything else for you to do here. And obviously he doesn't die, Fiero doesn't die, but like those scenes just bother me.
Do you? So it's so frustrating trying to connect like the plausibility of the Wizard of Oz to this movie, as in like make it make sense. Do you? I was trying to. One thing that really bothered me, but I found I think all the connecting dots was how does Fiero remember Elphaba if he doesn't have a brain? Because that's the thing with the scarecrows; he's not supposed to have a brain. So I think the entire time he's with Dorothy, he doesn't have a brain. But then when he gets to the wizard with Dorothy, I can't remember the Wizard of Oz that well, but he like gets his brain, right? And then I don't know if you caught this, Dan, but you've seen the musical Wicked, right? So that thing
Yeah.
that they get from Fiero that she gets is like, oh, it's Fiero. He writes a message on that piece of cloth that the monkeys give her, Alphaba, and it says like, "Yo, fake like you're pouring some buckets of water on yourself and get in that hole, and I'll come get you, girl." And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's Fiero. He's no longer with us," and like chucks it. And that's when like the plan is hatched. Is he like kind of tells her what to do. But I was trying to connect the dots. I'm like, why does he remember her still? okay, this makes sense. How did he know to do
And
that
how
and
is
all
he
that?
using critical thinking and logic to create a plan to?
That's after the brain. That's after the brain. So he has gotten his
No,
brain now, I
yeah,
think.
I agree. No,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like I think, like Kara said, you have to kind of sort of not think about
Yeah.
a lot of it.
My favorite one is like going back and looking at clips of the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, and he's like, "Hey, everybody!" And in this movie, he's like, "Oh, kill that bitch!" It's so funny.
Yeah, he's pretty pissed.
He's like, "I'm gonna murder her." I'm like, "Bro, Nessa tried to kill you, dude."
It's like I'll see edits and it's like them clipped together and it'll be like it's trying to make like the original Tin Man look like really scary and he's just like, "Hi everyone," and then it'll like go back to like Ethan Slater and he's like, "I'm going to kill her," and it's so I don't know what side of TikTok you're on, but I'm on Wicked edit side
I'm
of
on Wicked
TikTok.
too.
It's interesting. It's interesting out there. It's
I saw there's this one girl who sings like Justin Bieber, and she was like doing Wicked songs,
I
but singing like 12-year-old Justin Bieber. That's good.
have seen that. Yeah.
I would say it's funny. I think out of all the characters, I have I've seen rankings of this. I have to hate like he gets the least amount of screen time, and I feel bad for Coleman Domingo, but I hate the Cowardly Lion too. Like everyone, the reason why there's so many people that need to hate Elphaba, that because of that, it doesn't necessarily make sense that they all do. And it's just like, it's the Wizard of Oz. They all gotta kind of believe the propaganda and hate her. I'm like, the lion, she tried to save your life, lion. I don't know if you should like try to hunt her down, but whatever.
It felt really forced, and it feels like he's kind of like an afterthought, especially given how personal the other two,
Yes,
members of Dorothy's group are.
completely agree. I would have much rather. Who could have turned into a lion? Nessa? No, she has to have the house dropped on her. Nobody could have turned into the lion, but do
Yeah.
you like that he crawls around and doesn't like walk? I know that's like the original Wizard of Oz book, that he's like an actual lion that like walks around. But it would have been cool to see some person in like a lion costume, just like. But
It would have been a little goofy, maybe a little bit too cats-ish, but
uh, any final thoughts, Karis?
I think that is everything that I wanted to cover. I feel like I've been quite negative. I did enjoy it for the most part.
Same,
yeah,
I gave it
same.
3 stars. I had a
same.
I had a good time. I think everything from For Good onwards, I think that's when the movie's at its strongest, even though I think it is incredibly messy, gives a, kind of a terrible message. I think from a filmmaking standpoint, I think that's where it really starts to shine. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, I think splitting them in two was incredibly beneficial to the first because the first half is, it's the famous half. It's considerably stronger. I think that was unfortunately at the detriment of the second half, and I just wish they did more with it. I was really hopeful that they'd do something, essentially.
I think it's the fact that people just love, like, the first half is shiz, right? So when it comes to like fantasy stories, fantasy novels, fantasy adaptations, people just really dig it when you put these worlds in like a school. Like my wife, she's reading the Fourth Wing books right now. That's like about dragon riding in a school of dragon riders, and they're going to classes learning about war. Like people just really dig that stuff. Obviously, Harry Potter's the number one example there. But yeah, Shiz is really missed in this movie. I think the sets there are fun. The people all being together. That's the thing too, is you like seeing all these characters interacting with each other. So John M. Chu, the story, the screenwriters, they know that that's kind of what you want to see. So that's why tonally this just feels all over the place. But that's how it felt in the musical.
Yeah, I think they generally did their best with this, and the strengths of it are still there. Like the music is still very good. You still have these two insanely talented women who can like just sing to an amazing do an amazing job with that element, and like the rest of the castings were really good. So like there are a lot of strengths, but making this movie was an uphill battle. And to kind of your point, just as a closing thought, Karis, like I would love to see, in 10 years, if someone were to make like a rated R version of this story, like do it. Like that would be so cool. And I still think that would make a ton would make a ton of money. People would go see it, and you could
You
like
just want the
really
wizard to be beheaded, dude.
no, but like
That's all.
I mean,
That's all I'm thinking about.
The book
he
is
needs the guillotine, man. Yeah, the
the
book.
book is
Yeah,
crazy. It's
I've heard that.
yeah, it's something.
Doesn't Dillamon die?
I've not actually I've read extracts and I thought that might not be for me. I'm going to preserve my childhood wonder of the Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz.
Yeah,
I'm
if I'm
just
not
gonna leave that.
wrong, I've heard about like I know it's a lot more sexual in places, and I've heard maybe a
Yeah,
little bit about bestiality, but you know,
yeah,
there's a reason why we grant it's like yeah, rated R.
yeah.
We don't need bestiality, but it's a serious story, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
like you know, an adult version of the story could really be very emotional and like really drive it all home. So I think that would be great.
Yeah. How do you, as a final question, how do you think this is faring at awards season?
I mean, production and costume design is like really all it's going to get. That's what it. I mean, it had 10 nominations last year. The big question is, in my opinion, is will it be nominated for Best Picture? Because it was nominated for Best Picture last year, and that just like when you nominate for Best Picture, that just makes everything else so much easier to get because you're one of the prestigious films of the year. And I just don't think it's going to get Best Picture.
I don't
I
think
mean,
it will. I think Avatar. I think they always put in something that is big with audiences.
yeah,
I think depending on how Avatar fares, if Avatar's great, I think Avatar will take it.
Can I? It's 10 movies, right, guys?
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be. I think it has to be between 8 and 10.
I think they changed
So
it so it has
Did
to
they
be 10.
did they change it? I was wondering
It
about
was
that. Yeah.
very recent.
So just to give you guys the current odds, the betting favorite is One Battle After Another, then Hamnet, Sinners, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, Rental Family, Avatar, Sorry Baby, Pressure, Begonia, No Other Choice, Alpha, and then Wicked for Good is at plus 2,500, tied with No Other Choice, Alpha, The Life of Chuck, J. Kelly, Frankenstein, After the Hunt. So like it's probably not going to get a nom. Like looking at that, um,
Dude, I'm shocked that Sorry Baby's up there. Holy shit.
I'm
I know we
gunning for that, if that
I
is
just
true.
yeah, I just haven't
yeah,
heard anybody like
it's at plus
yeah.
2,000 to win
Wow.
Best Picture right now, which is eighth. Yeah, eighth. So love that.
I wonder if after it's come out on Netflix, if Train Dreams will sneak up there, Dan.
I think it came out on Friday.
It's
Yep.
so good.
I've not
Yep.
It's
seen it.
currently at plus 5,000 with Roofman, F1.
Oh jeez. Not good odds there. But it just came out for everyone.
Also,
So
is this thing on? Which is so. I mean, I'm gonna go off on a tangent. Is this thing on? Is so good. I can't wait for people to see that.
I
it's
missed
like Bradley
it.
Cooper.
I missed it at the film festival I was at
I
this year.
really loved it. So.
Yeah, I missed it in favor of Anne Lee, which I'm not even gonna.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's funny because I think you commented on my video and asked me to talk about that, and I need to talk about that movie. So I'll definitely be doing that
I
because
think I
I have
commented.
a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, I think I commented before I saw it because I was at. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I was at BFI London Film Festival, and I'd only really gone for stuff I was invited to because I'm not based in London. I'm really far away. So I went down and I met these two people on the carpet, and they were like, "We've loved everything, but we've not been too hot on Aunt Lee." And all I'd heard before I had that conversation was everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" So I'd already booked tickets to go and see it because I was like, "Oh, like I really like Amanda Seyfried. Like this could be really good." And then I saw it, and I have everything I hated about The Brutalist, I hate about
Yes,
it.
yes.
Yeah,
It's like it's eerily similar, like in so many ways.
This is Brady Cobay's wife, right?
yeah.
I don't think they're
Partner?
married. I think they've been together
Well,
for like. But she wrote. Did she co-wrote The Brutalist, right? And then he
Yeah, she did.
co-wrote this. So like.
well, it seems like they chose a good partner. If you guys are having
They're a lot. They're
similar
definitely
issues.
aligned with how. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's what I'm saying. Crazy.
But I'm now very upset that I've missed Is This Thing On? Because everything I saw, because I went to BFI Film Festival and then I did Leeds International Film Festival. Everything I saw, Anne Lee was my last film. everything I saw, I had like a week break. I was like, okay, I'm gonna end on a bang. I've only heard like 1 or 2 bad things. I was sitting there, I was like, no, like, don't do this to me. And it's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's so gratuitous. Like,
It's we haven't age rated it yet. So like people were like coming in and like so if we haven't rated something in festival season, they just kind of give a content warning. I was sitting there, I was like, are you fucking joking? This is crazy. Like
yeah.
I was like, get me out of here now. But yeah, not a fan.
Speaking of getting out of here now, I
Yeah.
think we need to close this episode.
Yeah.
I always look for good segues. That was a good one. Cerys, thank you. I hope we're now an hour and 25 minutes. If you have listened to this entire conversation, I hope that you have enjoyed her time on with us. Please, 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 please. I know I have. And thank you for joining us. But please plug yourself where people can find you and watch film festivals with you. It looks like.
Yeah. So you can find me at Cerys Loves Film on Instagram, TikTok, and Letterboxd. I on TikTok and Instagram, I kind of post more general movie videos, general movie recommendations. And then on Letterboxd, if I see a new film, I'm trying to write more. I also write on Substack, under Cerys Loves Film. Haven't written in a while because I've been very preoccupied with my degree, but next year you're going to be seeing a lot more of my concise thoughts. Yeah, so maybe you can read a lot of my older things from 2024, and I do have some reviews up there, but I'm kind of working towards more more concise videos and more concise film reviews. So if that is something that you'd be interested in, please come and check me out. We have a lovely time over on the Cerys Loves Film pages. We love it there. I hope.
Yeah.
That was a great plug.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a pretty good plug. One of the best.
Thanks.
Yeah, everyone, please go follow her. That's exciting to hear about your writing, though. When you say
Yeah.
next year, you have a lot of you should be seeing more. Is that because you have something set up, or because you'll be done with school?
A bit of both. So
Okay.
plan is finish school, get my degree, and then next year, gap year, going to be working a lot more as a film journalist in the film industry. A lot more writing is going to be done, essentially.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. You're almost there.
Thank you.
Yes. But we are there as well at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Guys, please go follow Cerys on all those places that she just mentioned. I'm really excited to read your writing and your letterbox reviews.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see what you think about Zootopia 2 soon, because that is what me and Dan are talking about next week. Another sequel that will make a lot of money at the box office, possibly.
Yep.
That should be fun. Speaking of bestiality earlier, but I should talk about that.
Bad transition, Stone. That was a miss.
Sorry. Zootopia fans are crazy, man. You go on Zootopia talk, that's some wild stuff,
it's a bad place.
They've been inviting Zootopia Talk to the premieres. I have seen a podcast clip that I watched it while eating. I have not. It has been wired into. I don't want to think about it.
It's the escape pod, isn't it?
It is that one.
Forgot about that.
It is that clip.
Yeah. I try to skip clips of movies that I haven't seen just yet, but like the first 2 seconds are like, Zootopia 2 is. Huh? I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I was like eating spaghetti bolognese, and it was like Zootopia 2 is even. I was like, oh my god.
I did swipe.
I have not seen this clip.
No. It's got a lot of views.
Don't go search for it. It's not a nice.
Anyways, we'll confirm next week whether that's true or not. I guess me and Dan. But until then, please everyone go follow Cerys everywhere. But go outside, sit on a park bench, touch some grass, call up your friends, watch a good movie, and we'll see you then. Peace out, everybody.